10 years ago, I traveled to Mexico to investigate allegations of horrific human rights abuses in state-run psychiatric institutions. What we found then was shocking, the wretched lives of forgotten people. And now, 10 years later, we returned with our original partners, the nonprofit group Disability Rights International. They released their report, Abandoned and Disappeared, today. Tonight, Nightline investigates. Mexico City on the eve of its bicentennial. But we haven't come here for the celebration. We're here to go inside places where few people ever go by choice, Mexico's psychiatric institutions. Our investigation began 10 years ago when we went to this psychiatric facility just outside Mexico City called Carranza. Okay, we're in. It was a notorious place where we witnessed patients without clothing in the freezing cold. All we could do was bring this woman a blanket.
Is she all right?
There were feces and urine everywhere. The stench unbearable. And there's no towels. And it's nauseating. And we were stunned to see medications distributed from a cardboard box by a patient.
Unbelievable.
At another hospital in Guadalajara, we found children tied and bound, even leashed to a window grate. After our report, the government vowed to drastically alter the system. We decided to go back and see if they had. 10 years ago when we went to Mexico, it was clear there are human rights abuses taking place there.
Very serious abuses.
Eric Rosenthal is the executive director of Disability Rights International. We worked with him on our original report and teamed up again this fall. In the intervening 10 years, has the system been cleaned up?
It has not. I mean, what is shocking is that it's as if time stood still.
In fact, we were shocked to find the same kids and the same mats rocking back and forth. We recognized Marie Flores, tied up the last time we were there. We're told she's mentally retarded. Experts say people like her shouldn't need to be institutionalized. Another young woman sitting with her legs crossed 10 years ago, found just as we'd last seen her, but this time chewing on a bottle cap. No therapy, no treatment plan, no hope. How bad would you say the human rights violations taking place here in Mexico in these mental facilities are?
I think, frankly, they're among the worst that I've ever seen any place in the world.
San Francisco-based psychiatrist Robert Oken worked with us 10 years ago and has traveled the world examining conditions in mental hospitals. So this is warehousing.
This is total warehousing. Well, they're just abandoned. They're the castaways of society.
Treated without dignity, many of them heavily medicated. Macario was here on our last visit, too. He has epilepsy and lives with his arms tied behind his back.
It's torture to tie a person down and leave them strapped to a wheelchair for a lifetime.
Torture has a very specific legal meaning. Do you
It
mean
does.
it in that sense?
We mean it in the strict sense of the term. It is a violation of Article 1 of the UN Convention Against Torture.
A psychiatrist here tells us with early intervention, all of the patients here would have had a totally different life. Rosenthal's group investigated 19 other Mexican institutions. In this one, they saw kids all jumbled together, some with disabilities, others, they say, with no apparent infirmities, like these lively toddlers.
There's no oversight, there's no monitoring, there's no quality control. It's a black hole.
Not only kids get lost in the black hole of the system. I wanted to find out what happened to all those patients I'd met a decade ago. That first horrible adult hospital was closed after our last report, and we discovered that 60 patients were dumped here at the Samuel Ramirez Hospital, where Dr. Cesar Benuelos is in charge. Even he acknowledges while the facility is cleaner, the plight of the patients has not been improved.
They just put them in different facilities in order to appear like the transformed institution.
You're saying nothing really changed for the people.
No.
Dr. Benuelos came to the hospital 3 years ago and has inherited many of the problems. He agreed to take us behind the locked gates.
Okay, let's see something like hell.
You're the director here and you describe it as hell?
You are going to see. I'm not lying.
See, I mean, you look at this man's eyes and he tears up with human contact. I mean, you know, one wonders how long it's been since someone's held his hand.
In ward after ward, we see patients lying naked, unattended, rocking.
The rocking is a kind of psychological impairment. Some of the other, the moaning, it's partially a psychological response to lack of human contact.
This man is kept in isolation, we're told, because he bites. We didn't see the signs of aggression, but we did notice his urine-soaked pants. They have only 10 clean sets of clothes for 13 patients, a nurse explains.
When you go home at the end of the day, how do you feel?
Smashed against the floor.
Smashed against the floor.
Yeah.
It was here, deep inside the hospital, where we met Juan Carlos. Perhaps no single person represents the agony of this place better than he does. Sent as a child from another institution, he lives in this red helmet with his arms tied behind his back.
And he wears the helmet because?
He constantly hits his head, the director said. Dr. Benuelos admits it's not a good solution, but it's all they can do. In fact, he points out Juan Carlos is so used to living like this that he becomes agitated when the restraints are off, as we saw for ourselves.
This is the first sign that the crisis is coming.
People who look this dysfunctional really were not this dysfunctional when they came. Life in the institution has led to a deterioration. Moreover, even the people that you see here after years of institutionalization could be helped if there were more staff in a more integrated setting.
Can you tell how many of these people have been made worse by being institutionalized?
All of them.
All of them.
Almost all of them.
You're taking a big risk to say all this publicly, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Personal risk.
I just want to be honest, that's all. And if somebody in the government got angry or mad or something, I'm really sorry. But it is our reality right now.
And it needs to change.
Absolutely.
Because now the hospitals that are supposed to make people better only make them worse.
What percentage of this population could survive outside an institution with appropriate support services in the community?
I think the vast, vast majority could survive with a lot of one-to-one attention in the community.
But isn't that too expensive, especially for a country that spends less on its entire mental health system than it takes to operate just one U.S. hospital?
It's expensive, though.
There's no amount of poverty in Mexico that could explain 2 staff members trying to take care of 37 clients. There's no poverty that could explain this degree of abandonment.
There are small glimmers of humanity, a gift of twigs and grass to Dr. Oken.
This is about all they have to give.
Are you okay?
We can't help but wonder, 10 years from now, will it still be the same for people like Juan Carlos? We try to comfort him.
He has the ability to be soothed, though.
Yes.
I mean, he's scared. He's just frightened.
Frightened to death.
But living in hell.
For its part, the Mexican government has pledged to support disability rights at the UN. We spoke to an official at the Mexican Health Ministry who acknowledges that there are serious problems in these institutions, but claims that nearly $8 million new dollars have been allocated for the Ramirez facility and community services. We'll stay on the story. We'll be right back with tonight's Sign of the Times.